Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Max, and you are watching my Bread of the Mighty ethnography. So the first thing you're probably asking yourselves is, what is Bread of the Mighty? And Bread of the Mighty is a food bank headquartered here in Gainesville. It's a really large food bank, and they serve 5 counties here in North Central Florida. So they got Alachua, Dixie, Gilchrist, Lafayette, and Levy counties. So what they do is they bring in food from local grocers that will be thrown away, but is really still edible, and they process it and they redistribute it to these 5 counties. They actually send it to over 150 different nonprofit organizations. They have 10 big trucks, get shipped all over. This gets sent to places like homeless shelters, churches, places like that, where it can most efficiently be redistributed and feed as many people as possible. Next thing you might be asking is, why did you choose Bread of the Mighty? There's lots of organizations to choose from. What made Bread of the Mighty the one that I chose? And there's more reasons than one. Firstly, I'm somewhat familiar with food banks. I've volunteered at one in high school. So I figured there was sort of a mental box to compare to. And I thought that was a big positive. And another thing was I wanted to be off campus. I thought there's a lot of resources on campus, and going off campus would potentially give me the opportunity to help out people who are not exposed to as many resources, and maybe my efforts will go further. Next thing was, what was I investigating? So it was really simple. I want to see, does Better the Mighty help out, people who are struggling with food insecurity? Secondarily, I wanted to see, being such a big food bank, they draw in a lot of volunteers. Wanted to see how that volunteering affects the volunteers. So what did it consist of? What did the actual volunteering consist of? So there was two types of days. There was perishable days and non-perishable days from my perspective. Days when I was working with perishable versus non-perishable goods. On days when it was perishable goods, so foods that can go bad, would come in, and coming from the grocery stores, there would be great big pallets full of produce. So, and on the pallets, there would be many, many boxes, again, of produce. So what we would do is we would take the boxes down, we would sort through the boxes and divide the food into either, good, not rotten, not moldy, whatever, and rotten, no good to eat anymore. No good to eat goes in one box, and that's not really touched anymore. The good food is then placed into many different boxes. So say we have a box full of tomatoes, we're going to put that so that there's many smaller boxes, a little bit full of tomatoes. Next box comes off the pallets. That one's say full of peppers, and the same thing. Bad peppers get taken away. The good peppers get distributed. So now there's a box full of tomatoes and peppers. This would be continued until all the boxes are full of many various different vegetables, fruits, whatever. Other days when it was non-perishable goods, it was relatively similar. The same thing would take boxes off the pallets and distribute those also into good and edible and not edible. So say there was like cans that had no labels on them, those would be thrown away because you never know, somebody might have a food allergy, you don't want to get anyone sick. And from there, all the stuff that was good would be sorted homogenously. So, all the breakfast type foods would go in one box. All of like the coffee, tea type foods would go in another box, etc. So, yes. So this is the Gainesville location. This right here, this is the front entrance to the food bank. This is where all the volunteers work in. This is where the workers walk in. This is where somebody would walk in if they're coming to pick up food. This image right here, the center upper, this is the inside of the warehouse. This is where that produce sorting goes on. The lower center is obviously an image of a truck. This is where the food comes in and out of the food bank. And the far right image is a picture of the of one of the aisles on the inside of the food bank where people can come in and pick up food. So when it comes to the in-person culture, it was really a very stoic one. There was not much liveliness, so to speak. It was very active. There was very much, sort of get the job done, do as much to help as possible. But it wasn't so much, joking around and stuff. I think a large part of this was that for volunteers, they are a large part of the manpower. So the people who actually work for the food bank, work there, they want to get as much out of the volunteers as possible because the amount that gets done goes down drastically after 2 p.m. when all the volunteers leave. So it would make sense why there isn't so much, joking around. It would probably decrease productivity to some degree. When it comes to the online culture and presence, I looked at both the Bread of the Mighty website as well as their Google Maps entry. So on the website, it gave off a similar feel, similar vibe to being in person. And this kind of makes sense. Of course, it's made by the same people. It was very minimalistic. The website gives the basic information that anyone would need to know, whether you're donating or wanting to volunteer or wanting to come get food. And there was a nice big orange button for donating because of course they're always can do more with more funds. Other thing I looked at was the Google Maps entry and mostly the reviews that would come in of the food bank. And those were overwhelmingly positive with some quotes such as you were and are such a blessing, as well as best food bank I've ever been, which obviously very high praise. When it came to the interview section, I interviewed one person, one other volunteer, who, for the purposes of anonymity, I will call it Kate. It was a pretty quick, rather casual interview. She was involved in club sports at UF. Her club wanted all the club members to be participating in some sort of volunteer work, so that's how she ended up at Bread of the Mighty. And some of her big takeaways were that it was amazing how just about anybody could come to Bread of the Mighty and truly help out. Uh, Even if somebody wasn't physically fit or physically able to say lift up boxes or carry heavy items, they could find something productive for anybody to do. And both she and I saw that on multiple occasions. Another thing that she had to say was that it was very fulfilling and that other people she talked to, really liked coming there from like a personal standpoint, almost coming from the heart. It feels good to help people. And yeah, just the town and gown connection. Bread of the Mighty is definitely, a major player. So since it's such a large food bank, many people on UF campus are, volunteering in one way or another. So many of them come to Bread of the Mighty. There's really they have a strong sense of connection with the school. You'll see people, students and otherwise, wearing Gator gear all the time. This will, I think, over time, inevitably lead to good things between UF and the community. So, in conclusion, Bread of the Mighty is a huge help to both people who it is directly trying to help, so those who are food insecure, as well as people like me, volunteers. Both sides gain a lot from the interaction, all good all around. And here are my references. A couple of these are for photos and then Google Maps. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Bye-bye.